Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, with a lot of you activating your wildcards over the international break before game week 5, I will be reviewing some of your wildcard drafts and talking about general sort of topics and players that a lot of you have in, players that maybe none of you are thinking about that maybe we should. So I've got about 5 or 6 to go through today. We'll spend a little bit of time on each of them. So without further ado, let's get straight into them. The first one that we've had sent in today comes from FPL Dwight Office over on Twitter, so make sure to go and check him out. So he's set up with a 3-4-3 currently, with Ryan in goal, Mitchell, Justin, Taylor, Zaha, Salah, Fernandes, Pedent, Aguero, Calvert-Lewin and Kane. Interesting talking points from the draft that looks like this is Aguero is in there. This is not someone that I would be picking in my wildcard draft. The reason for this is we don't know quite how ready he's going to be come game week 5 and when Jesus will be back ready to play as well. It is a gamble. It could be worth taking, but not one that I want to be taking at the moment in my current draft. The only other issues that I have in this is there are a couple of defenders who I would be worried about. So Mitchell at Crystal Palace potentially will be losing his place to Patrick Van Aanholt, and Justin will be losing his place to Pereira at Leicester, which will leave you with only 3 defenders ready to play unless you want to be using a transfer to get them in. As well as this, Burnley have looked very poor defensively, so Taylor having to play every week is not something that's ideal. So I would look to be changing one of those to the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters or Lamperty, or even future thinking of someone like Masuaku before West Ham fixtures become a lot more positive. The final other things is the midfield. So Pedent and Zaha are players that I probably wouldn't look to be including on my wildcard. I much prefer the likes of Pulisic or Barnes or Klitsch of Leeds. I think they're players that people have talked about to bring in, but it's not players that I would be including when I have a free run on my wildcard. Salah and Fernandes I really like, and Calvert-Lewin and Kane are really good. Overall, I would give this a score of 7 out of 10. So there's definitely room for improvement, but a good first draft. The second team that we've got here is from rpick86 over on Twitter, so make sure to go and check him out. So interestingly different to the other one, this one has included a Liverpool defender in his draft. This is something I would still look to include. And Robertson is probably the pick that I will be going with over Trent, just to save a little bit of money, and I think that output will be very similar. In terms of elsewhere in defence, Chilwell is an interesting one. I feel like this is chasing points slightly after his 18-point return at last weekend. So I'd probably be downgrading him to another 4.5 to rotate in this 3 at the back system. I don't feel like there is much need to have all of these sort of defenders when you're only going to be playing 3 defenders each game week. In midfield, Son, Salah, De Bruyne is something that I really like. They rotate well in terms of captaincy. However, I feel like having Son, Salah, De Bruyne and Kane as well can sort of interrupt the balance of your team a little bit. It means that Brewster or Souček or maybe one of those cheaper defenders will be having to play every game week, and it's not something I like completely. I'd probably choose to go with 3 of those, probably Son, Salah and De Bruyne. And downgrade one of those elsewhere to improve the balance of the squad. That being said, I like Barkley as an option a lot. At 5.9, there's a chance that he could be on penalties for Aston Villa as well. So definitely a bit of a differential in there that I really like. And to combine that with Souček, when the West Ham fixtures change in a few game weeks time, it's a pick that I really like. So looking at that with the set and forget keepers, a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 or 4-4-2 sort of formation rotating, I'd give this draft an 8 out of 10. The third team that we've got is from Waz FPL. A few little different things in this draft that we can talk about. The first of which is that double Liverpool defence. Now with Alisson out injured and Adrian being played in goal, it's not something that I would want to be doing. I know their attacking threat is really good and we can get a lot of points from them, but you do pick a defender first of all for clean sheet potential. So I would look to downgrade and just go with one of those. However, a positive about the defence is I really like Lamptey as a pick. Brighton looks strong, and playing at that wing-back role, he gets forward a lot. And Justin is not, again, a pick that I like, and I would look to go elsewhere with the likes of Dallas from Leeds. Now, at first glance, you think that the front 8 of this draft are very strong. We've got Zaha, Barnes, Podence with Son and Salah in midfield, and Mopai, Watkins and Kane up front. Now, the only issue with this is it's going to create a real benching headache for you going forward in the next game weeks, when you have to pick at least one of these to be on your bench every single game week. Now, I would look to downgrading one of them or combining two as such, going with a cheaper either striker or midfielder and upgrading one. Podence is a player that I would look to change, so potentially Podence down to someone like Souček and upgrading Zaha to someone like Pulisic, if you could afford that, would be a nice switch to sort of give a more sort of strength to your starting 11 and not having someone like Podence on your bench every single game week. However, overall, with the likes of Mopai as a differential and Watkins up front, I do like this draft a lot, with a little bit of fine-tuning in terms of the less Liverpool defence and Podence potentially downgraded to upgrade elsewhere. I would give this draft a 7 out of 10 currently, but there's a lot of room for potential with this one. The next draft that we've got sent in is from FPL Live Girl over on Twitter, so make sure to go and check them out. So again, a few slightly different things in this. I would start off by saying in defence, I don't think there's enough depth. Mitchell could easily lose his place to Patrick Van Aanholt soon after the end of the international break. And Douglas on the bench doesn't play for the likes of Leeds often. So that would leave Kyle Walker-Peters to be playing every week along with Cody and Robertson. And the Wolves fixtures after game week 8 are very difficult. So that would again be a transfer out for Cody. So I would look to be potentially downgrading Cody to a 4.5 in the likes of Dallas and upgrading Douglas to another 4.5 in the likes of Masuaku of West Ham, for example, and just add a bit of strength and depth and that rotation power that you would get with that. In terms of the front 8, I like it a lot. Brewster adds a lot of value to your team. Having a 4.5 striker who you can, in theory, play most weeks is a great option to have. My only concern is that we have Jorginho looking to play every week. So again, there is a bit of a lack of squad depth that you've got in here, and we know Jorginho's on penalties. However, Werner might want to take them. We've seen that in previous game weeks. And then if he's not on penalties, he offers virtually nothing going forward. So there would be potential to potentially downgrade Zaha slightly and upgrade Jorginho slightly, or downgrade Grealish slightly to upgrade Jorginho, or switch to a 4 at the back. However, Jorginho is not a player that I would want to go with every week. This team is nice, but it feels very unbalanced at the moment. So at the moment, it would be a 6 out of 10. I would be wanting to improve the balance on that, but having some of that strong firepower in there with Salah, De Bruyne, Kane and Robertson is something that can score a lot of points going forward. The next team that we've got comes from Advisor FPL over on Twitter, so make sure to go and check him out. So again, we've got Martinez in goal currently on the bench, but we'll be starting Castan, Justin and Chilwell. So we know my thoughts on Justin as a pick, someone who's not going to be in there for very many more game weeks, and the Leicester fixtures after the next couple are a bit more difficult. So I would be looking to do Justin to the likes of Dallas at Leeds. As well as that, Mitchell at the moment is a good bench fodder and it is his 5th midfielder, so there is potential there for Mitchell to stay in the squad, but just be warned that it could be a transfer that you have to do in a few game weeks time. Jorginho in the midfield here is an interesting one. It's not someone starting every week like we had in the last draft, so that's okay. I do prefer the likes of Souček. With being on your wildcard, you do need to be a bit more future thinking. West Ham's fixtures come game week 8 are much improved, so I would be thinking as him as my cheap midfielder option over Jorginho, and that would free up a little bit of money as well. I really like the double Everton pick with Rodriguez and Calvert-Lewin. Jimenez and Mopai are a couple of sort of not differentials because they have high ownership, but differentials on a wild card. A lot of players aren't deciding to go with them. Mopai and Jimenez definitely have potential to return. They are picks that I like quite a lot. So I cannot complain at these two picks. Not two that are in my current wildcard drafts, but they are definitely have high potential. Chilwell in defence, the final pick, is slightly chasing points, but with the Chelsea fixtures upcoming, there is potential for him to return again. This is my favourite wildcard draft that we've seen at the moment. The only concern is that there is no Man City in there, and we need to have a potential route to go with that, and it would be very hard for this player to get KDB in, for example, without selling Salah or Son. So for that reason, it's only going to be rated an 8 out of 10 because there is no easy way to get in KDB for the next few game weeks. That is all we had time for today. Please subscribe to the channel and drop a like on the video if you haven't already. There is a league code going across the bottom of the screen now, and it will come back again on the rotating bar. That is a code just for you guys on YouTube, so make sure to go and check that out and join it for monthly prizes and bi-monthly and annual prizes as well. As well as if you are interested in Fantasy Football Hub subscription, there is a link in the description which will give you 15% off your membership. So make sure to go and check that out using the link in the description. But that is all that we had time for today, guys. So thanks for all. Please make sure to subscribe and like on the video. Thanks all. See you next time, and I'll be live on YouTube on Tuesday evening with another live stream. Thanks, guys.